Christian Gehring, Educational Director for Florida Coalition Against Human Trafficking, provides community businesses and individuals with training on human trafficking. He brings awareness to statistics, signs, prevalence, and preventative methods for any industry at every level.
What are some of the myths of trafficking?
What are some of the myths of trafficking? Oh my God, there's a long list of it. Let's pick the top two probably. Myth number one is it's not happening in our area. That is the biggest misconception. People really think it doesn't happen here, and it is so untrue. And the second one probably, which is something I'm being asked a lot, is it always foreigners? And that is not true. Statistics show that over 80% are US citizens.
Thank you. So who are the trafficked?
Who are the trafficked? There's a long list of that. Anybody and everybody can become a human trafficking victim, which again leads back to the earlier question as being a myth. Human trafficking really doesn't separate by gender, race, nationality, or anything as such, or age as such. It can be somebody who's younger, somebody who's older. We have had rescues of a female in domestic servitude of 68 years old. We've had rescues of a 6-year-old boy. There really isn't, it's any human being, to be honest with you. That really is the answer.
And kind of a branch off question of that as well. Does nationality, social standing, or other demographics have a bearing on becoming a victim?
There are some tendencies that we have seen in statistics that is definitely true. For instance, when you're looking at labor trafficking, we have discovered, and I have heard, there's some facts on it too, that very often they're looking for undocumented people which are in the US here because they're easy victims in that respect. So some of them, they may have Hispanic background. But otherwise, from a nationality perspective, there's no preferences as such. It's a human being they're looking for, and if they can profit off that human being, whichever way that is, that's what they'll do.
Who are the traffickers, and how does a trafficker select and process a victim?
Who are the I hate to be so vague, but again, a trafficker can be anybody, which is another myth. People often think there are specific people which are criminals, which are hanging out in bad areas, or you have to live in a bad neighborhood in order to become a victim. It can be anybody. Very often we have seen it can be a family member. It can be somebody at work. We see children and teenagers being recruited in schools and universities by other students. It can be somebody you work with. So there's a long list of that.
How does social media play a role in trafficking?
Hugely. Social media plays a big role in everything in our lives nowadays, and of course, human trafficking, they're taking advantage of social media too. So one way, for instance, could be, and I've heard, for instance, from universities that sometimes they're getting messages coming through or on Facebook, hey, there's some party going on, you know what, you want to come and join us, but don't tell your friends. Well, that would be a red flag for me straight away, because don't tell somebody where you're going is certainly not a good thing to do, even if it's partying to have fun. So again, social media can be used for that. But of course, another way also is that traffickers are looking out for particular posts on Facebook, for instance, where maybe a teenager may say, oh, I hate my life, I hate my mom, she doesn't understand me, or I've broken up with my boyfriend. So it's somebody who's vulnerable, and they will immediately pounce on that. Most of the time, if it's that it will be a female, they probably have a female respond to them, oh, I totally understand, you know, I know what you're talking about, hey, why don't we meet? And if they meet, then that may have certain consequences. There might be somebody else there, and they may be putting themselves in big danger that way.
So Christian, what is your role with the coalition?
My role with the coalition, I have the privilege of being responsible for training and education. So I head up that department with some of our volunteers. We're all a volunteer-based organization, obviously. And I go out into the community to provide awareness with regard to human trafficking, that people are aware not only that human trafficking exists, what it means, what it is, and what some of the signs are that they might be looking for. We actually have some of the cards which we give out to different community members, if that's general community, or we have others which are specifically for hotels or motel employees. We have healthcare professional cards, and these cards actually, I've got one here as well for hotels, for instance. They have several points on here to look out for, and the way they're done actually, they're business card size. So there's the tips in there, because even though they have gone through the training, they may actually not necessarily remember every point. And then of course on the back side also, then there is who to contact. When it comes to, again, we're doing awareness campaigns with regards to the community or different parts within the community. So if somebody, we speak at churches or at temples or at social circles, it doesn't matter. Any community which will actually want to listen to us, we would like to educate them with regards to human trafficking. Now the other side is specific training that we provide. And Lynn mentioned that earlier on as well. When it comes to training, I'm extremely flexible in writing a training program for anybody that is. So if it's, let's say if it's a construction firm and they want to have training specifically to their workforce, then I will take all the information there is on human trafficking, but I will actually also tailor it a little bit more to construction workers, what they should be looking out for, because it's a different environment, and probably there's might be some different signs too. Now, some of the training which I enjoy doing is, because of my background in hotel management and also the beauty industry, is actually training hotel staff. We focus mostly on front desk staff, also housekeeping staff, and food and beverage, so the bars, restaurants, so they know what they should be looking out for if they see somebody who may behave suspiciously. In housekeeping, a simple example would be, look what's around in the room. Now, we understand when we're training specific professions, they do their job. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't see things which are obvious to somebody who knows about human trafficking. Once they know about human trafficking, it'll ring a bell with them.
What is the life expectancy of a victim after they actually get out of trafficking?
Well, in general, not just getting out of trafficking, but in general, actually, whilst they're in trafficking, again, it depends if it's labor trafficking, so there could be certain risks there with regards to excessive sun exposure or chemicals, etc. But especially when we're looking at sex trafficking, there's data from the FBI that the average lifespan of a sex trafficking victim is 7 years. And usually that unfortunately ends through a number of reasons. It could be a sexually transmitted disease. Very often it's overdose, because most of the time their drugs are being used to manage them during that time.
That's good. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.